All right, we're going to go ahead and open this vacuum pod. I've been learning about layers and making tool paths and things like that using the layer and the automatic feature, and that's really turned out to be a real blessing for me. Um, I've got my tool path out here, and this is what I'm working on. And let me go ahead and turn all my tool paths off. Basically, this is a vacuum jig. This is a piece of 3/4 inch vinyl. It's not vinyl, but PVC siding that's got wood grain on the backside and plastic soft on the front. And what I'm doing is I'm making a Ranger puzzle box, and this is the board. It's 23 inches long by 7 inches, 7 1/4 inches wide, and this fits in my CNC, which is 25 by 25. And I've put 4 mounting screws on the corners, and I'll use a brass screw and screw them down. They have a recessed head, and I'll go down about 3/8 on the recess and put them in there. Then I put locating pins around here to hold the board in when I'm locating the board, so that it comes out pretty much exact. Now, probably that's not as important on this job, just simply because it's going to be cutting out box joints all the way around each one of these pieces, and this is like a 6-sided box joint box. And when it's done, so each piece overlays this at least probably a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch all the way around it, so that I don't cut into the gasket. So that overlays that, and it's kind of fun because when I made this, I created the sheet in my Ranger puzzle box and the vectors, and then I copied those vectors and brought them over here, so all my pieces are on the same. In fact, well, this basically looks just like my puzzle box, because I just copied the vectors and then I modified this for the vacuum and that thing. So that worked out real well. When I cut it, I found out that my center, when I did my previews, that it was not cutting out the on these little ones. It just didn't touch them because I was using a 3/4 inch end mill, and that's the first time that I had ever run into that I can remember. Generally, I'll just cut it for whatever path it is, but since I've been doing layers, I overlooked it. Well, I just basically brought the USB drive back in and loaded it back up, and I just modified this and added 2 more tool paths right up in here in the tool, and added enough to where the 3/4 inch would get most of it, then a 1/4 inch would get the rest of it, and then 1/8 inch would get down in here in these little pods. So it's kind of fun how all that works. Vectric software is so intuitive. It's just really good. All I would have done to know that is to view it, and it would have showed it. But I was learning my layers and that stuff. So that's something that you really ought to look into whenever you're doing these. This is where I added that in. I had pulled the wrong end mill up, but this is just a pocket, and then I added the 1/4 inch and then 1/8 inch, and then when I created it, it created the tool pass automatically. This automatic feature, you need to look into it and copy all your vectors to layers, and have a layer for each tool path. That's some sweet stuff. I didn't see the real benefit of it until I started this project, and now I have tool paths that go across 4 different layouts or sheets in this, and these tool paths actually fit each one of them. And so my tool paths are I'm able to duplicate them and just import them into whatever new vector is. So this is kind of my vacuum pit pod file, and I'll be able to jump back in here, and if I need to machine one, I'll just machine another one. So I'm keeping them all in the same file just for the sake of it, trying to, other than keeping CRV files for each one, which I can do that as well. But this works so far. I'm kind of learning that technique. Anyway, after we design this, I've got this. I'm going to the shop and we'll carve this out, and then when I do that, we'll put a piece of wood on it, 3/8 inch wood, and it'll fit down inside there, and turn on the vacuum and tell it to run its course, and I'll see if this can cut box joints on all 6 edges. This only creates half the box, so I'll run it again, and then it'll cut out the other side, and then that's a finished box. So that's kind of what we're up to, and let's turn this off. All right, I've got this thing drilling the 3/8 inch holes, and as a starter I had to go ahead and put my corner holes in for my mounting, and then I'm doing the 3/8 holes. So I just had put just minimal support, then I put a screw down here to the very tail end, and then I'm going to put one down here as well. Let me get that done. All right, I went ahead and put another screw on this side, and when it routes out that other side back there, I'm going to go to the rear of the cabinet and pull this thing up and put a couple screws in over there so it'll be supported totally. Just drilling 1/8 inch holes. These are little 1/4 inch holes. That's the biggest hole that it's drilling, other than the little ovals in the middle. But I'm going to get it down to where it's going to start making the bigger holes. So I want it anchored, and then I can pull these supports on the side out of there if I want to. All right, so I've got these down, and I'm going to go ahead and drill that out with a small bit, put a brass screw in there, and that will finish anchored. I'll have one on all 4 sides, and let me get that done. All right, got a brass screw on each side of one of those, so I'm ready to start doing the milling. And this is a 24 inch by 7/4 inch piece of PVC vinyl, and it's got wood grain on the back side of it. It's very much, that's the same thing as what this is right here, about at Lowe's. And I've got the smooth side up, and that's what I'm getting ready to mill it to. Let me go back to the front side and change the bits. All right, I've done the number 5 and number 4, which is the vacuum holes and mounting holes. So those are all drilled in, and those are 1/8 inch bits. And then the center tap, pocket 1 center tap, and then the vacuum gasket and the flatten the board. So let's go to number 2, profile vacuum gasket, and let's see what kind of a bit we need in that one. And it is a 1/4 inch ball nose. So we'll go to that and get that out and check it up. You know, some of the things that I do, I'll generally take the bits that I'm using in the process, and I'll put them in their own collet. And those are like $5 a piece. You can find a resource for them. I just chucked up the ball nose that's 1/4 inch, and I just set my Z heights up here. I'm going to tell it go back to its mobile home, and so I'm just going to move the mobile home, and that makes it back to that mobile home right there. I got a kick out. One of the guys said that we have a home on the shark. Well, we really don't. They're all mobile. In other words, you can make home anywhere you want to on this machine. In this case, it's the center of that X, which puts me at 0, 0 on my X and Y, and the shark actually brings it up a little bit higher, but it's ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and mill the ball nose, and it's the cord that goes into each one of these. So around each one of these holes, the size of my profile, I'm going to go around and route out a ball nose. I think it's a 0.14 deep. So let's get that done. A real quick tip is, instead of wearing out the port on the machine on the pendants, I use just a replaceable 4-foot cord, about a $6 cord or so, and I put my thumb drive in it so that I'm not wearing this port out. Just another little tip. All right, so let's go ahead and run the program. I'm going to hit USB, and we're going to do the vacuum gasket right here, and I can go down and check that it's the right one, and it shows it that it's the 1 inch or ball nose 1/4 inch, and we'll just tell it to go next. This do not use virtual. That, you know, that's handy if your spool board is not square, but in this case it's all flat, so I just leave that as an option. And then we click start, turn on the vacuum with this, and it's going around, starting out going around my part. That's a little bitty small one. This particular vacuum jig has 5 areas of vacuum. My pump will handle 6, each one hard enough to where, you know, you can't pull it off of there. And so that's going down through there and routing that out. I'm going down to 1.14, and I'm using layers and the template to cut these all out. So these are copy tool paths using the layers and the template, which is kind of a new thing. This is the first time I've actually used this process. I'm using it on the actual board that I'm cutting, and I'm using it on this jig that I'm cutting. So when I get done with this, I'll take a piece of 3/8" walnut oak or maple or cedar and put on the outer perimeters of these holes, the little round 1/4" holes. I'll put like a dowel or a little grass thing, stick it down in there. That's my pin location. Then I'll turn on the vacuum, and the vacuum will hold the board down, and then I'll be able to route all that out of there and go around and cut it out. They're box joints, and so it's a 6-sided box joint. This makes one half of the boxes, and the other half are all duplicated. And this is a Ranger puzzle box, and so it's doing its thing there. And come back here, and we'll just about move over, and we'll get into doing the pocket. Let's get it down there and let her rip, Coach Chip. All right, let's turn off the vacuum on the back side there and let the dust settle. Just give it a little bit of a bang just to keep the dust inside. We're going to go in and put in the 3/4 inch end mill in there that will cut out the insides of those pockets, and let's get that done. Okay, I've Z'd that, so that 3/4 inch bit's ready to roll. And let's go down here and load up our program. You know, that's just where I set that up, so I'm going to go ahead and do not split. I don't have to go back to home or the row home. It knows where it's at. I'll click start, turn on the vacuum. And it's going down there and it's putting a pocket in. All right, so there's that. Now, in that decision, it's supposed to make little round holes in there. So I really need to recalculate that because those holes are so small that I almost need like a 1/4 inch end mill in there because those won't fit with the holes in there. So that's kind of a funny deal there. I'm gonna have to go and edit and add one in there with a 1/4 inch and try that. Okay, I've never run this one before, but I took this some tool path and I put a 1/4 inch end mill in there and ran the preview, and then I put in 1/8 inch in. So I got 3 on that same tool path. I have 3 different deals. So it's let's see what happens here. This is a 1/4 inch. And what it's doing is it's going around and it's getting in there wherever the 1/8 inch couldn't get in. So we'll see how that goes. It's amazing how the computers can keep track of that stuff. And it's going into the corners of it. Doing that one the same. Then I got one that was the 1/8 inch because when it rendered, it wouldn't go back and do those little pockets on the very other side of it. So that's the first time that I have actually run this where it's doing that. So it's kind of intriguing to me that it can sit there and take the 3 different bits and figure it all out. And sure enough, that's what it's doing. Only cut where it needs to, where the other one didn't go. And then you know. Like it'll stop when it gets ready to do those other ones. Well, it'll carve out some of them, but not all of them. And then I'll go back and put the 1/8 inch, and it'll go down there and clean that out. All right. Now the 1/4 inch was able to get in there, not totally clean that up. So I'm going to have it come back with the 1/8, and it'll probably clean these corners up just a little bit more. And then it'll go and do those back of the very corner and open them up in the center. So let me change the bit, put an 1/8 inch end mill in there. All right, we'll put the 1/8 inch end mill in there. And you notice I use a crescent and a big wrench. That crescent fits right up there on that collet bolt, and it fits perfectly, so I don't have to wonder where it's at. And then the other wrench sits on that, so it's perfectly spaced. All I got to do is kind of slip it up there. And I've got another one of those thinner wrenches, but the crescent wrench actually works better. So, and also this is an extended 1/8 inch end mill, where it'll cut like an inch thick board, whereas the normal end mills are only 5/8 to not quite 3/4, and so this actually does a pretty good job. Okay, set my Z, got my 1/8 inch end mill in there. Let's see what it does. Let's close the door. The back is running. Load the program, and I put it as a 3C on here. And let's go down and double check that that's the 1/8 inch end mill, which it is. And click next, and do not use, and start. And away it goes. Cleaning those little pods in the very back up. Getting that center section cleaned up. Thing I'll be able to do is pull this off and tap it and set it toward the very center. But on my jigs, I use the centering of the jig for my home, or my 0-0. We call it a mobile home in my world. In the shark world, it's a mobile home position, because you can move it around. So I'll set that back at the very center of that board from corner to corner, and that way I've got my height set and it's ready to go. First time I cut this, so I'm kind of curious, what I'm doing to myself here, but going to town. You never know how material's going to behave. Like so far so good. Going back to my mobile home and stopping. There we go. Okay, we are now back at the back side of the machine. Let me pull these 2 screws out, pull this out, and drill it for the taps. All right, fired up the shop vac. It's in that box there, and that's my pass cap reel. Dust up these in the back. And I'm going to clean out the back side of this box while I have it tilted up. Get this PVC dust out of there. Use a little wand on the end of my deal that I keep stuck right there for handy stuff. And my whole mess after doing this PVC, and as sticky as it is just inside the box. So that works out real well. Okay, after a couple minutes of cleaning, the It's all cleaned up back in there. You can see on my floor, I haven't swept the floor yet around there. There's actually almost nothing. Did knock the wrench off with the vacuum hose, tugging it around. But anyway, it's nice not having to deal with that mess all the time. And look who's bothering me the whole time I'm CNCing. She wants me to play with that toy. There we go, ready? And she just won't stop. She just keeps after it. So that little toy just stays right there, the center of her attention. And snap-a-rama. So anyway, I'm going to turn the vacuum off. Hit the old remote. And turn that off, then go over here and reel the fast cap in. And we're done. I'll take that. I'll put that back underneath the CNC. So that part's cleaned up. Looks like we need to drill my ports in here for my air coming in, one from that side, and see how that works. This one here looks like I could probably drill straight through on those sides. So, and then the cord just fits into the side of it. That pull that out, stick it in right around those corners, and then when I put my walnut board in there, it fits in around these pins inside there. You'll say, well, couldn't you have made wider ones? Yeah, I could have, but what I'll do is I'll end up gluing them pieces back together and making make them usable. So maybe there, so that'd be vacuum holding that little the end and the other top. So anyhow, I'm going to drill them out and tap them and hope. All right, I just milled this out, and I'm using my vacuum clamps. My vacuum pump over in the corner. It's plugged into this little guy, and I've got like 18 inches of mercury on here, and this is holding it. And the back side of this is like right here, and it's clamped down. You can lift the table up with it. See here? So it's there. I'm going to go ahead and drill these down and drill them down straight and see what I can get with it. Probably use a I don't know, make me a block, I guess, to drill with. Alright, so I have that clamped with my vacuum board on there really tight, and I drilled me a hole. I'll go down here and drill this far, so I'm going to check up this bit into that and put me a piece of tape around it so I know how far to go down, and we'll see how we can do with it. Okay, that worked good. Came out right there and down through that. Didn't come out through that, so I moved it over to that line there, and it's the same depth. So I'm going to drill that one, and then I'll move over and do the other one. Let's get those done. All right, got those all four drilled down into the cavities for the vacuum there. I need to drill a 7/16 inch hole in each one of them for tapping, and also need to drill that side there. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it around and do that since I have the bit chucked up. And all that is a matter is turning off the vacuum. About got the dog. They got Keister. God, that just about got you, didn't he? That was as simple as pushing it up through the table, line it up there, and she's down there. So I'll go ahead and drill this one out. It's probably real close to the same height as the other. I'll double check it. Let me line that up, and away we go. Okay, I want this to line up right, so I put the 7/16 in that same hole that I just did, that 3/16 inch hole for the vacuum hole. I'm going to drill this down. It'll self-center and go down not quite 7/8 of an inch, probably about 5/8, 7/8. All right, using that as a, if I could
dowling jig. It's a line up, just clamp it down there, work real well. All my holes are pretty well money on, and I'm going to tap them. I've already got that one threaded. I'm going to tap this one and these other three, and we'll be good. All right, there's my puzzle box vacuum jig, and I make basically one cut of all these, and then I make another one of that. All right, I played around with this a little bit last night, and my camera was full, so I couldn't take any more pictures till I got some of that off there. Anyway, I played with it. Sucks there and holds there just fine. I did have one little issue right over here where my PVC threads weren't holding too good, so I may have to end up putting some super glue or another bit of glue or something around that. The rest of them held just fine, but I can get it like 18 pounds of pressure on it, so, or 18 inches of mercury. Anyway, I'm going to mount the thing back up, and then I'm going to cut some wood to put in here and give it a cut, see if it'll go to town. All right, I've got the jig mounted in there with the screws. They just went right back in the holes that I had milled it with originally. So I'll basically just set the 0 over there off the center of that, and it'll be zeroed in, ready to go for repeat city. All right, I have a whole mixture of boards. These are some 3/8 inch boards. I glued them together because they weren't quite wide enough. And then these are some boards that I had in my stack. This is all wood that I had milled down from logs. And these are a couple of boards I got from an old barn and resurfaced them. Anyway, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have about 10. I think this one I'll probably resaw on the bottom. Probably resaw it. Or this one right here, I'll probably resaw it into 3/8. So, give me a little time to get out the old resaw bandsaw and fire it up for a minute. All right, I got those all resawed down to, about 1/2 inch, maybe 5/8. And some of them are still down at 3/8. So, I'll run them through the planer next. I've got the bandsaw out, and I checked the fluid level in the vacuum pump, put a couple, 3 teaspoons of stuff in there. And probably got a little full, but anyway, it'll be all right. I use mineral spirits on that, a petroleum based. And then Dust Deputy is about half full, so I won't mess with emptying it out. And a little vacuum behind it. Let me put the CNC machine back where it belongs and get the planer out. And planer and that dumpster with a crate on it for planing. I noticed my adhesive had given up a little on my aluminum and it was coming out. So I shot it with a little bit of contact cement and inside the tube in the pipe, and put another wrap of aluminum on it. That ought to hold it for another year or two. Always got to do some kind of maintenance. This is getting where it slips out here a little bit. I'll probably shoot a little contact cement in there to make that a little bit stickier. And one of the magnetic things would be nice, but I'm not there yet. Just shot a little bit of some crafted spray adhesive in and around that corner. Just went around the inside of that, make it a little bit sticky. And I'll let that dry before I stick anything in it. All right, for you guys that have the DeWalt 735, if you put much on here, this just looks like this one pipe, and you just bump it a little bit, you'll get a crack in here in this little elbow or this little notch that's inside there. This one's all right because it's around it. That one's open on this side, and so I've had to put glue, kind of a super glue, some of that DAP, 4 minutes, 30-minute bond glue on there, and then I put this on there to back it up. So anyway, hasn't lasted long. I've seen a lot of guys say that this was broke on their DeWalt's, so they had ordered a new one in, but that's just a fix I did with it. I thought about melting some plastic with a plastic weld, but this will probably work, so we'll see how that lasts. Anyway, getting ready to hook that up to my planer dumpster, and hopefully I won't have a mess. All right, well, that worked flawlessly. Planed all them boards down from the one of them was 1.5 inches down to whatever, and got them down. This is just the mess that I have on the floor, which was good. Things working just the way it's supposed to be. All this is just baffle goes out and baffle goes out, and then the return air is here. And planers, you just have to have some bulk. These 5-gallon buckets are a joke because you fill them up in no time flat. But anyway, this works good. Got to keep maintenance on it. These seals seal this lid down. I probably had more trouble trying to get that to seal down than about anything I've worked on. So, but it's been on there for a year and a half, and every now and then I have to do a little work on it to get it right. These little jobbers here go down, and I need to extend them out just about an inch longer so they'll reach all the way in there. But they work. It just and it only takes a minute to get in it, so it's not too bad. But all right, so now we got to take that to the vacuum clamp and run and see if it's going to do its thing. And then when I'm done, I'm going to plan on leaving these kind of as a onion skin on them, and I'll run them through this because I've never had this where I could do that with. So I always had to cut through them, but with this thing I can actually sand them and clean them up with onion skins and whole work. So I'm kind of anxious to get this thing, put this thing to work. I have not really done much with it other than sanded a couple little boards. So we'll get her going here in a little bit. Well, it's time to clean up after that planing. That's not too bad from all the planing. With that just a little bit of mess. She's wanting me to get the vacuum out. Pull the vacuum over here to the job. Pull the wheel out. Take the wand, and in a minute here I'll vacuum that up and clean it up. Alright, learning curve. I sit there and mess with this thing for quite a while. Well, 5 minutes or so. And I just couldn't get it to hold a vacuum. Only got like about 5 pounds on it. And I mean, it was holding it, but it wasn't what I wanted. And so I thought, well, let me put a piece of tape over the thing. And in this case, she can grow up to 15 pounds or 15 inches of mercury. So whether or not this works, I don't know. That stuff may go flying in there which direction. I did use my scraps on this, so we'll find out. But I'm ready to run my first set, and I was having to troubleshoot the leaking, so I went ahead and put some valves in between each little section. And I could have done the same thing with little foam in the little blocks, but this way I was able to troubleshoot it. And it's a brand new jig, so I wasn't sure if I had any leaks of where they were at. So last night I hooked it all up and had it, so I was pretty sure it was good. But I do have one of these little nipples over here that's a little bit loose. I was going to have to put some juice on it to get it tightened up a little bit. But anyway, it's holding. Sitting here at 15 inches of good stuff, and the locating pins are in there. It's pretty straight. I'm going to cut out a box joint, so I'm going to let her rip tater chip and see what happens. All right, well, I thought my center on this piece was on the center, but apparently my home position is on my lower left. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and change that piece to that. Now, I had this file set in where it was doing the box creator, so that all takes the lower left. I also had it with, I was doing the where it makes many pieces, and that uses lower left corner. So I'm suspecting that my center is there. I guess I could look at it here on there, and it'll tell me that it's let's just go down to down, tell me where the center is. Yeah. Bottom left corner. Right there. So that's funny. So anyhow, 9 1/4 by 24. So that would actually put it right here. So we'll just see what we got there. Alright. Well, I've used my locating pins. I went ahead and stuck in a couple of brass ones in there just to see if it lines it up easier or better, just because I don't really know. And actually it made it easier because there was no guesswork. It just fits. I'll leave the wooden one in there. I don't really care if I hit those. Anyway, This tape was good. It's in that 14 psi or inches per that. I've got my centers put back to the center of my work. So home is at the center, and I'm ready to run this thing. I've got my Guild Z, so I don't know if I'll get parts flying in every which direction, what I'm gonna get. So there we go. Well, not sure what happened, but I cut into my rubber back there in the back. I don't know what the deal was with my Z. We'll try it again real quick. All right, well, I had it programmed right. I must have not set my Z properly. It's the only thing I figure. So we're gonna let it run again and see what happens to it. So we're gonna run it, and first off we're gonna move it to 0, 0. See where it takes it to. Right down there is about right. Okay, that's good. I'm gonna run the program, and it's the puzzle box layers. Outside rectangle, we already got that one done. Pocket lock. Let's see if we can get that one to work. Here we go. This is a really hard oak. It's like a 100-year-old oak. So I'm cutting out a pocket, and I'm going down about an 1/8 inch each time. Just do that in 2 passes. Okay. That first pocket is the outside. There's that. Here's what it's doing there. Doing something. Back to 0. Okay, well my height is set about right. We'll go down and run the other toolpath. And outside rectangle. Go out there and cut that thing out and cut the other one out. Go down to 3/8 of an inch. Hopefully it'll leave me a little bit of an onion skin. Go around that edge there and cut that out. Now we need to cut the boxes out. Still got 17 inches of mercury. So we're going to run the other one. Cut out tab. This is where it cuts all the box joints. See how she runs. tab's still in there. Yeah, she runs. Those pods should be down there in the inside this area where these things are cutting out. We'll find out. I think I just had my Z wrong, but it goes to show that, man, you could buy a $1,500 vacuum plate in one setting, go through that and ruin it. So I don't have anything in this thing that I can't replace or remake in, you know, an hour's time. So let's see how she does. Hopefully it's still holding good. My inches of mercury is down to about 13. Got a tab there. We'll let it do its thing. Alright, going down cutting the third profile. Even though that one's got a scar down to the middle of it. Not anything I can't deal with. The snow still locked on the ground. It's kind of chilly out. I just opened the door. She's wanting me to play with her. Alright, I finished that with 15 inches of mercury. Cut all that out. My pod's still holding. And that's good. Let's see what we got now. We'll pull this thing out and look at it. Okay, the cool part about all this is it's doing exactly what I was hoping it would do. I used my locating pins, put the other piece back in there. I can tell it to go while, and it's just vacuum. I just basically hit the lever and brought it out here. This piece, even though I didn't have my Z set, yeah, anyway, this is my first piece, so yeah, that's part of it. I've got my onion skin. That little guy right there will help me out. Before, I would not have planed this or done anything with this. I would have recut it and then cut into my board, and because that's just a hair onion skin left in those, so we'll see what happens. This guy right here, something don't look quite right on that one right there. I should not have cut that last little block in there. I'll have to look at that on that cutout and modify that, but everything else worked out fine. So, kind of a unique thing. So, there's that. That looks about right. And I'll probably cut another one and see what it does. Okay. Alright. That came out real good. Got two pieces over here that are ready to go. Pulled the vacuum off of it and up they come, and while I'm doing that I could be running another one, but I want to make sure everything's fitting, and since this is the first one, and that worked real well. I'm gonna have to repair my little gasket over there. I don't know what I'll end up doing. I may just cut a little piece and mortise it out, put another one in there and re-drill it, seal it in there with some PVC cement, so I maybe will fix it. Alright, anyway, I did fix my tool path down on the other one, and I had added in there, so I'm pleased with what I've got so far. So let's go sand this thing and see what it looks like. Alright, I'll just finger it assembled. I didn't do nothing, didn't sand nothing, and I just stuck it together. So looks good, fitting good. And there's my two puzzle pieces that'll fit down in there. I'll have to drill them for the bearings, and then There's these 3 pieces right here. And this is an extra and that's an extra, basically. The rivets fit right down inside that thing right there. So, there you have it. And using a sander with oil skin or the onion skin on it, I think I'll just cut a little deeper on my profiles and cut them out. So next time I'll just cut them a hair deeper.